Alright, so what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another transfer video. Talking about the top six today, not talk about Arsenal. If you're interested in that, you can check out my last video. I'll probably put a link for it in the description. But want to talk about some of the other teams, some of the other rumors that are going on. Starting off with Liverpool. Recently had a bid for Luis Diaz rejected. Um, Liverpool say they're not interested in selling him, which I mean they're about to sell him to Barcelona for like 85 million, a month ago, and they're trying to get him to sign a new deal as per Fabrizio, which I think is smart to get him locked down to a new deal. I mean they're kind of struggling with that. As good at business as they are, they did lose Trent on a free. Salah and Van Dijk both also were almost out of contract this year. Kanate's out of contract next year, and they're maybe looking to sell him, but getting Luis Diaz tied down to a new deal and then maybe selling him off. I think they should cash in on him. I think they had a good year. I think his price might be a little up, so you can kind of get someone like a Bayern who is in the market for a left winger to pick him up at a good price, but it doesn't seem like they want to do that. Maybe Slot likes him. I know they use him as like a makeshift striker too. So I don't know. Not a whole lot to do with this deal. There's not a whole lot to really analyze. It's just kind of the bid. Oh, bid was rejected. They don't want to get rid of him. Yada yada. But I think it would work. It would get Bayern off of Rodrigo, because obviously Rodrigo is starting to heat up. Oh, is he gonna leave Madrid? Which I think he might. But they're definitely one of the teams that could go for him, would be attractive to him. Personally, as an Arsenal fan, I would want them to just get Luis Diaz, so then he doesn't want to go to them. But then Liverpool's in the market for a new left winger, and they could just bring him in, and that's either way. It's gonna be a tough deal for anyone. But a left winger is definitely on everybody's list. Chelsea, wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea go for another one. Um, but yeah, we'll start talking about them now. So obviously they had the two done deals for João Pedro and Bino Gittins. Both solid deals. I think they paid a little much, 60 million for João Pedro to be a backup striker, left winger, second striker, 10. I don't really know where he fits in, but you paid double the price you paid for Delap to get him in, and he's gonna sit behind him. He's not a better goal scorer than Delap. He scored 10 goals last season, but 5 of them were pens. And he's not a bad player. I just don't think he's 60 million worth. I think they kind of got scammed there, but decent player, decent squad player. If they picked him up for cheaper, it would have been a better deal, but it's still not a bad player to add to the squad. I just think that Chelsea needs to. I think this is the year that they should start adding real names like an Osimhen or a Rodrigo or a Liao or a Nico Williams or someone like that. I think they're this is like their year where they should be in the title race, but it doesn't seem like they want to be. It seems like what is the ownership scared of how City are moving, how Liverpool are moving. They don't want to compete with them too. They don't want to. They don't like. They could definitely leapfrog us. Like I don't. I don't think they're that far behind us. I don't even think they're that far off of City and Liverpool. I think if they made a couple good, if they brought in Osimhen, they could make a run for the title. If they brought in Osimhen and Rodrigo, they could they can win the UCL. They can win 2 trophies in a year. They could challenge for the league. I don't know. I think this youth approach is financially probably smart, but they have a solid team. Like Gittins is a good deal, but if he's starting at the left wing, I don't know if he's gonna be like a level raiser. He's definitely better than Mudryk. I think he's better than Sancho, but we have to see how he adapts to England, because obviously there's people like Sancho that come in from Germany and they don't look as good. And a lot of it at first was, he doesn't like United. Oh, he can't settle in there. And then he goes to Chelsea and he's a freedom fighter. And then, well, they didn't even want to sign him. They'd rather pay 30 million more to get in someone who's younger, less experienced than you. And I don't know. I don't know. I think this is kind of a sideways move. Both of them might even end, and if you move sideways, if you stagnate, you end up falling off. You could fall behind the pack, especially when you have teams like Newcastle clipping at your heels. Like Newcastle aren't far off at all. They get a Javi Simons and maybe another winger and a midfielder and definitely a defender, definitely a center back, and they hold on to everyone else. They could be better than Chelsea. Their midfield's phenomenal. Their attack, they have probably the best striker in the league, not named Erling Haaland. So I don't know. For Chelsea, this is strange. Good deals, not great deals. Makes their team better, yeah. Makes the squad better, yeah. It doesn't really raise the ceiling. A lot of potential, maybe they sell Gittins to Bayern Munich in 3-4 years for 80 million, and they look like geniuses, or they're like the youngest team to win the Prem since I think Jose's Chelsea, coincidentally. But I think this is alright. I think these are alright deals. Another deal that they're semi-linked with is Kudus, kind of talking into Spurs because Spurs recently they're starting to pull away from the Eze deal because the players prefers Arsenal is what it seems like. But and Kudus is who they're kind of prioritizing because they can't get Mbeumo, they can't get Eze now. All right, Kudus is a great player too. I think he's a great fit for them. He had a down year, so his price is kind of down. 85 million pound release clause, but there's rumors you could get him for around 60, and I think he'd be a great addition. He could play down the middle, off the right, off the left, and be great in any of those positions. He has a lot of potential, and I think he's a really good player. I think he would bring Spurs' level up a lot. So, and linking it with Chelsea's, that's who someone Chelsea should be looking at to bring in to play off the right, or even play off the left, or whatever it is they may want to do for rotation. Because I don't think Madueke is good enough. I think Pedro Neto's a baller, but I feel like he needs someone else. I feel like he had a down year last year. Maybe next year he comes down, he looks a lot better. He's a lot more adapted to the team. Maybe he looks better in the UCL. He likes playing. He just didn't really feel it because he's playing kind of nothing ball in Europa Conference. But I think Kudus is someone Chelsea should be all over. Unless they have hopes of getting someone else. Maybe they want to bring in a Leao, but with their wage structure, I don't see it happening. As for Spurs, get whoever you can, really. This team needs improvements for the UCL. You definitely could bring people in and attract them with UCL, but how many people really want to go for Spurs because they probably won't be in it the following year, and they have a new manager who's not really established, but he is a really good manager. I like Thomas Frank, but the squad's kind of not as good. There's rumors that Romero is gonna leave. Yeah, I think they should get Kudus and look at someone like Wisa. I'm surprised nobody's talking about him. I think he's just as good as Mbeumo, and maybe Brentford are a little hesitant to get rid of him because they lost Thomas Frank, Norgard, and Mbeumo already. They don't want to lose Wisa too, especially after losing Ivan Toney last year. It's just kind of hard fall off if you're a Brentford fan. But I think Spurs need a lot. I think Solanke's a decent striker, but you should probably bring in another one. I'm surprised they didn't bring in someone like Jonathan David. I thought he was screaming out for them, but obviously he's going to Juve now. Should bring in two wingers, especially if Son leaves, which is rumors he's going to go to Turkey, which good for him, honestly. I really just think he should. I think it's a good time to cash in on him too. He hasn't been his best these last two seasons. He started out last season, not the season that just happened, but the first season of Postecoglou, really good. But then he just kind of slowed down along with the rest of the team. But I would focus on a DM, a center back if Romero leaves, depth at left back, a right winger, a left winger, a striker. They need a lot of players. Probably two DMs, honestly. But yeah, it's enough talking about them. They could do whatever, really. I don't think they're gonna win nothing next year. So moving on to the interesting club, Manchester United. The only team here that could, other than Spurs maybe, that could finish 15th next year or 5th, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. But they're preparing a third bid for Mbeumo. Second one got rejected. It was 62 million, 55 plus 7.5 in add-ons. Is this their last bid? Is this the last bid they're going to put in for him? I mean, this is, I think Brentford valued him at around 70 million base, which is kind of nuts for Mbeumo, but I mean, I'm assuming their bid is going to be in the region of 65 or higher. I mean, that's the only real way it could go up. Um, I think that's what most outlets were reporting, but I mean, I guess it's a few million pounds. It's not like that big a deal. I guess kind of strange that Brentford's kind of haggling over it, but business is business. You gotta get what you can. And does this deal fall apart if they're not willing to pay that? Does he want to? Does he end up at Spurs? But I don't know if Spurs. I mean, Spurs are kind of stupid. They probably would drop that money on him. Um, what does United do if they can't get him? I mean, just go get Kudus then, I guess. I mean, trying to make a trade with Spurs, go get Wisa then. Be like, all right, you want 70 for how much you want for Wisa? Probably around the same. But I wouldn't be concerned if you're in United. I think he wants to go. I don't think Brentford will stop him from going. I think United will meet. They'll come to an agreement. Probably be around 65. Maybe even 60 plus add-ons of maybe closer to 67, 68. Um, but yeah, I mean, is it the final bid? We'll see. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it gets rejected and he doesn't go anywhere because I don't want to see Man United get any better. But they're having a decent summer so far. There's rumors today that Sancho is willing to lower his wages to join Juve, which I thought he was going to join Juve last season because that was like the big link to him, other than Chelsea, obviously. But apparently United's been offered a swap of Douglas Luiz, Timothy Weah, or Vlahovic, and I mean that's not terrible options. I mean I wouldn't take Vlahovic if I'm United. I would take Douglas Luiz, prem proven player, great DM. I wanted him at Arsenal. City wanted him, or City had him, but um, a lot of people wanted him, and he hasn't done that as well in Italy. But I still think he's a great player. He was a great player for Villa, probably the best midfielder at the time, and I think he would be a great deal for United. I think they need a midfielder. I think if you can get a swap with Sancho for Douglas Luiz and then bring in a Baliba from Brighton and bring in a striker, I think that's a pretty much complete window for United. Obviously, there's stuff you want to get, more stuff you want to get. You want to loan out Hoyland. You want to sell people like Luke Shaw and maybe Maguire. Maybe it's time to cash in on Maguire. But I mean, I think United should be looking at another center back to bring in. I don't think they're going to. I think their focus is up the pitch. Obviously, a goalie should be prioritized, but it seems like um, Emi Martinez is their main target. The asking price was around 40, but it could go as low as 25, which I think is a fair deal for him. He's kind of old, and I don't think he's like a world class keeper. He's definitely up there. He's definitely like one of the best keepers, but I wouldn't put him in like that world class category. I think he's great in penalty shootouts. If United get into another penalty shootout next season, but I think they goalie, defender, probably two midfielders and a striker, along with Mbeumo and all the other signings they have, and they should be fine. I think that team probably will challenge for top four, top five. I guess just Champions League spots. Probably will end up finishing sixth or fifth if they bring all of that in. Depending on if they were to get Gyökeres, Mbeumo, Douglas Luiz, Baliba, Martinez, I think that's a top four team on paper. Will they get there? I don't know. We'll see with Almarim. I think they'll probably end up finishing between fifth, sixth. I think it's a team that a lot of people are writing off because, they finished 15th or 14th last year and they lost to Spurs in the Europa final and they looked awful. Almarim lost like 12 out of his whatever it is, whatever Premier League games. But it's Man United at the end of the day. Like, don't really count them out. Their squad still has a lot of quality in it. Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, Ahmad. I mean, even people like Mainu, who doesn't really seem to fit in this team anymore, but he's still a great player. I don't, I, I don't think they're not like. I'm not saying they're gonna get there like a couple pieces off of challenging for the title, but I think this is like a top four caliber team. I think the teams like the caliber has gone up because teams like Newcastle and Villa. That's probably the range that I would put United in on paper, but it's whether or not they can actually hit that level. Because I mean, like, is their defense that much worse than Newcastle's? I mean, they play a three back, so maybe you'd say like Dorgu. I don't think Dorgu and Dallo are better than Livermento and Lewis Hall, but Botman's probably the best defender out of all of them. But is Delit, Lissandro Martinez, Mazraoui as a back three worse than Dan Burn and Botman and Shard? I mean, I think they're on the same level. I don't think they're that. I don't. Is it crazy to say that as a back three? I don't think those are too far apart. I don't know. Newcastle obviously has a way better squad, way better midfield, definitely a better striker. But United is a million miles off teams like that and Villa. So I think they'll probably, if they get their recruitment right, probably be in that 15 not 15 that 5 to 7 maybe 8th range depending on how good other teams are. Spurs will probably be at the bottom end of that. So yeah, I mean, I think top 4 as an early prediction will probably be Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. Newcastle will probably be on the cusp. We'll see how they perform with Champions League. Obviously, they still have to bring in people. I don't think they've brought in anybody yet. Villa, I don't know how good Villa is going to be next year. I have a feeling that they're going to take a dip. I don't really see them sustaining how good they were the last 2 years. I think their squad isn't as good either, but yeah, I think United's kind of in that pact. And I think a lot of people are willing to write them off, which, I mean, if they don't get to that level for me, then just get rid of Amarin within like the first couple of weeks. If he pulls a Ten Hag and loses like 4-0 to Brentford, just get rid of him and whatever. I mean, bring in a new manager, bring in someone, just bring in. I don't even know who you would bring in at that point. I think maybe you just kind of have to thug it out with him for a while because, I mean, like they could have brought in a Frank and it's someone who's practical and he would have like brought stability to the team, but I don't know. A lot of interesting stuff to go on. A lot of time still left in this transfer window. They still have to sell people like Rashford and Garnacho. So yeah. I mean, I'll be back with more news. Not a lot of City news. Obviously, they lost to Al Hilal, so they're a bunch of frauds. And yeah, fuck them. I'm glad they're out of the Club World Cup. No more money for them, but now they get to come home a little bit earlier. I was kind of hoping they'd go a little further so they get not as long as a preseason, but because money isn't really an issue for City. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.